Echo off. Y'all, good morning, good morning. Y'all know if you're watching a replay, fast forward. Hey, Pa, good morning. Peace, shalom to you. Woo, it's a wonderful morning. We're going to get started here in just a minute. Make sure I'm live over here. If you were watching the replay, fast forward. Am I good over here? Got my rollers in, y'all. Went to Pilates this morning. I keep my rollers in. I actually have to travel next week because I got saved the silk press. All right, saving this silk press. Okay, awesome. All right, we're going to get started because I have a lot to say. I know folks come in. Good morning, y'all. Good morning. Hope I will be in DC this week, my daughter and I. So I'll have to text you when I get there. Be there the 9th beyond. I'm not going to say publicly where I'll be, but I'll text you. All right, y'all, we're going to get started. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, y'all, hey, y'all, hey, y'all, hey, y'all. Hey, happy Friday. Whenever you are watching this, happy Friday. This is the day that the Lord has made. We can choose to rejoice and be glad in it. I have a lot to say today. This is going to be a wonderful call. I have enjoyed these 80, we're at 82 calls now. My friend at Pilates asked me this morning, she said, did you start those podcast calls? I said, girl, we are 80 calls in. She said, wow. So there's a lot for us to do. Oh, where's my agenda? Where's my agenda? Where's my agenda? Y'all know I got to stay focused or I just be talking. And, all right, here it is. Actually, I think I put it in another. It's funny because I have my agenda. I know what it is, but I try to keep myself on track. Let me see if I put it in this drawer. I took a picture. What did I do? Oh, here it is from yesterday. Okay. Let me see here. Here's an old agenda I have. So we'll look at this one, but I know everything that's on my agenda. That's so funny. Probably fell on the floor or something. All right. So we have an agenda every single day, y'all. Hello, hello, hello. And I do an agenda just to kind of keep me focused. Look, now I'm a little thrown off because I'm like, where's my other agenda? It's normally in my thing, but it's okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And I appreciate you all being here. I created this call because majority of my friends are married women. And I'm going to tell you something about being married. It is, sometimes it's a challenge. Sometimes it's amazing. 80% of the time, 80-20 rule. It is like, heaven on earth. And there's that 20% where you're like, this is actually a little bit of a challenge. And I like to look at that in terms of 30 days. 24 days out of the month, you're like, oh my goodness. And then there are 6 days out of the month, 24 days out of the month, you're like, and then 6 days out of the month, you're like, oh my goodness, this is a little difficult. And I'm here for that daily dose of inspiration to say, sis, you're going to get through this. Menopause. 50% of first marriages end in divorce. 67% of second marriages end in divorce. And 73% of third marriages end in divorce. And less than 5% of people actually decide to do it 3 times. And my husband and I did. So there's support groups for everything. And then when we look at people that have been in 10, 20, 30-year marriages, they're like, oh, it's just work, just communicate. Are you kidding me? I just don't understand how they can't provide more. But I've started to realize that they can't provide more because they really don't know how they made it through the difficult times. Maybe they were separated. Maybe they just don't want to share. Maybe there are things they can't share. I'm here because we want to make it practical, right? So we go through 4 different things: power, prayer, purpose, and how do we make it practical? I'm not praying for, I could pray for you, but you could pray for yourself. So what do we do? So I kind of created a support group for us sisters, okay? So the first thing that we're going to actually do is I really wanted to go through the battlefield of the mind this morning. Okay, it's Friday. We have a little bit more time. And what we talked about yesterday is actually relevant again for today. Something came up this morning, and I want to address this because it came up when I was at my Pilates class, and I was like, man, this is something great because it was actually in the devotion. And it's the wilderness mentalities that we're talking about. Someone do it for me. I don't want to take the responsibility. It's a wilderness mentality, number 2. And she talked about responsibility. To be responsible is to respond to the opportunities that God has placed in front of us. God has placed a lot of opportunities in front of us, right? And it says, many times we never finish what we start because we get into it and realize there's more involved than goosebumps and excitement. Isn't that what happens sometimes in marriage? Like, we're like, oh my God, I know it's going to be work, but our love will get us past the tough times. It might get you past the tough times, or you might build up resentment. You might build up some frustration. One lady told me she hated her husband for years. And I'm like, oh my gosh. She's like, she didn't want to sleep with him. She didn't want to talk to him. She didn't even want to look at him. So again, what happens when you lose the goosebumps and excitement? And what came about when I do my practical side, I'll talk about this, but it talks about a lazy mindset. And if you kind of know this story, I look at the Bible as parables and stories. This is about the Israelites. They had an 11-day journey. So imagine you're going to walk for 11 days, which I don't want to imagine that. Let's say we're not going to walk, y'all. We're just going to go in the car from Georgia to California. Okay, if you're in the US, Georgia to California. And instead of flying, like, I'm going to fly, you're going to drive. And so I get there, in a couple of hours, and I'm looking for you, and you literally take over 40 years, right? So they took an 11-day journey, and it took them 40 years. That's ridiculous, right? But she talks about the lazy mindset is one of the things that kept them in the wilderness for 40 years for an 11-day trip. And it says people who must always have someone else pushing them will never really do anything great. Those who only do what is right when someone's looking won't get very far either. We have to be motivated from within, not from without. We must live our lives before God. She talks about that, but I believe that's so true for our marriage. We have to be motivated from the inside out, because outside looking in sometimes, and again, I'm not on social media, but from the outside looking in, you're just like, this is hard. And there's not one woman I've ever spoken to that didn't say, hey, I'm having some challenges here or there. Or I haven't had these challenges today, but I've had these challenges then. So you want to be sure that you're focused inside out. That's why you're here. But I wanted to go into this responsibility when she says, always remember, if God gives you whatever you ask him for, there is a responsibility that goes along with the blessing. And marriage is full of responsibilities for us, but we don't have to run when things look challenging, right? God expects us to go to him, go to the word. I got a lot of books I'm going to reference. Go to the power, be proactive, not reactive, and do the things that we need and can do. Okay, but also knowing grass is green on any side where you go. Okay, it's not about the grass being green, it's about the challenges you're willing to deal with. So you dealt with a crazy ex-mother-in-law in your first marriage, but you could be dealing with crazy ex-brother and sister-in-laws in the second marriage. So again, choose your heart. That's up to you. But here, going in the wilderness, number 2 into the 3, the mindset is, it says this is a wilderness mentality. Please make everything easy. I can't take it if things are too hard. And I'm just highlighting specific things that I think are relevant for us. And one is, that's the wrong mindset. Is similar to the one that we already discussed, but enough of a problem among God's people that I believe it's worthy, she said in the book. She said a lot of people would go up in the prayer line and say, oh my God, God has been showing me this thing, but it's just too hard. How many times you said, oh my God, Montina, I'm going to tell y'all, I know, because marriage can be too hard. But she says, God has shown me that the enemy tries to inject this phrase into people's minds to get you to give up. Okay. She said she had to stop saying how hard everything was and that things would get easier. That's why I say the valley. And I use that because I used to get on the call with my life coach, and I'm a therapist. I have a counselor. I got a whole group of people that help me keep my mindset where it's supposed to be, spiritually, mentally, physically, all of it. And well, they'll say, okay, tell me what's been going on since our last call. But like, well, sometimes I'm climbing up the rough side of the mountain. Then sometimes like I'm sliding down. And that's where I got the valley reference for us. Sometimes you're not in the valley. Everything's okay. You're showing up like, oh my God, everything's okay. But when things get tough, what do you do? That's why you have to have that checkup for when things are tough. You're in the valley, you're coming out the valley, and you look down in the valley, because you might go back down in the valley. It could be a year, it could be a month, it could be tomorrow. We just don't know. But she says, we spend so much time thinking and talking about how hard it is that the project, your marriage, ends up being much more difficult than it would have been had you been a little bit more positive instead of negative. You can be sure anywhere God leads you, he's able to keep you. If you know God has asked you to do something, don't back down because it gets hard. When things get hard, spend more time with him. When things get challenging with my marriage, I'm like, okay, yeah, I need to probably read this. I need to do this. I need to understand triggers. I need to watch this. I need to ask my therapist for strategies, solutions. I mean, I'm real serious about my life, and I have fun too. But grace is the power of God coming to you at no cost to you to do through you what you can't do by yourself. You're not expected to do this by yourself. You have a spirit inside of you that guides you, that you can trust. And sometimes God leads us the hard way instead of the easy way because he's doing a work in us. How will we ever learn to lean on him if everything in our lives are so easy we can handle it ourselves? So I wanted you to think about that with, again, mindset. I can't take it if it's too hard. It's not going to always be hard. It's not going to always be easy. Go within, pull out scriptures, get you some affirmations, do some declarations. There are so many things that I've memorized in my life that when things do get challenging in my life, I can go back to that thing or that book or that reference or that podcast. I have literally podcast videos from YouTube and notes and sermons and sayings and Zig Ziglar's and Les Brown's and Tony Robbins and people and just things that I can go to and listen to. And I'm like, oh yeah, my mind, I need some help with my mindset today. So that's our power. Also, I think I'll get to these books in a second. We need to make sure that we are praying before we sing and that we're meditating. God, let me see this world how you see this world. Let me see my husband how you see him. God, give me the grace that you give extend to me. Let me extend it to him and talk. Y'all, prayer is just one long conversation with God. It is not super duper deep. People are just, especially if you're like religious, you might not, feel like, oh, I didn't pray today. You don't have to get on your knees. You just talk to God like you talk to me. Hey, God, hey, Father, how you doing today? Thank you so much, Lord, for this day. Just talk, okay? Purpose. The purpose of marriage is to make us the best version of ourselves, okay? Get a core belief about the purpose of your marriage. Get a core belief. Like a lot of this that I do, it's because I've done a lot of work in my life for my mental, my spiritual, physical, and all of that. So I understand my identity, my purpose, my assignment. I know why I'm on this planet. I know what I'm supposed to do. So get aligned with your purpose in your marriage. There are some things that have gone on. Thank God I'm not in the valley today. Look, I'm not going to say today, right now, but there's some things that I'm noticing because I journal that I'm like, okay, I'm done over this. I done came over this hurdle. This what 6 steps between hurdles that they take. What depends. But here's another hurdle. Here's another one. Here's another one. So it just depends what you're going to go through. So understand your purpose, understand expectations, goals, missions. And I had to go through some of this even with my therapist. Hey, that's why therapy is important. But let's get to the practical side of this, okay? So belief drives everything. And here's the challenge. I had a conversation. This was a fun conversation today at the end of Pilates. And, I'm going into politics. And one of the things that I'm starting to really understand, and again, I'm in the United States of America, is we think people have authority, right? And they really don't. So I'm running for a position, an elected position, and I'm, campaigning. Like now I'm preparing 1 year prior to me even running. And I'm starting to understand, like, what do city council members do? What do commissioners do? What do mayors do? What do the county manager like? I'm really understanding civics. And I realized they don't have power because you can't make a decision, right? You can't make a decision without the consensus of the council, the commission, this and that. So we were having this conversation at my studio, and someone was saying how they didn't feel safe in our community. But I was like, well, the numbers say that we are a very safe community. I live in one of the top counties in the country, one of the top cities, literally, in the country. We made it to the top 20. And they were like, well, no, I don't believe that. And I was like, well, it doesn't really matter kind of what you believe. Like, okay, you believe it, but the numbers, like, we got to look at the stats. And then I was talking about the numbers as it relates to what's going on in the community. And I said, hey, and then, conversation went around, well, they aren't doing this, the mayor's coming. And I said, well, they can't really do a whole lot because they don't have the support of us. And I said, most people, I said, we're just lazy, And then, of course, like, I'm not lazy. And so it brought me to the conversation today. And I got my practical notes. And I really want y'all to hear these things from my heart. It's really a facts over feelings. I think that's something for us as women because I'm a feeler woman too because we're feminine. But numbers kind of just don't lie. Like I'm factual too because I run a business. As it relates to politics, local politics matter. We're not going to get in that as it relates to my business, but as it relates to your marriage, start looking at some of the practical things in your marriage that are going on and some of the facts over how you feel, because that's really, really important. So when I was saying kind of lazy, it's not that I really meant lazy, but I guess part of it was. So when I'm going to these commissioner meetings, these are my agendas. Like I take notes in these agendas. So I believe a different way than most people because I've taken responsibility as a citizen to make sure that my community is a better place because I'm showing up, I'm holding commissioners and council members accountable. I'm taking some onus and saying, how can I serve? How can I support? And some of this is, people say, well, we weren't taught to do this. Well, what were you taught? And if you weren't taught, what can you do different? So I did think about today's title was Are You Lazy? But the other part of this, I think, is are you just in your lane? Are you aligned with purpose? I look at our husbands, and those of y'all dating, this is important for you too. I got books for you too. But is this going to help me become the best version of myself, me being with him? And he also, am I helping him get to his best version of himself? Am I encouraging? Am I inspiring? Am I motivating? Am I doing the things that I can do? Or just do I have lazy love? And it's funny that there's a book out Keon Henderson has, and it's just lazy love. Some of us have just been lazy in love. I have, and I take full responsibility in the past. And I have, are you paying attention to the details in your marriage? Studying men, studying your husband, not just what he likes to eat, his feelings, his mood, how he might get up and move. I could tell my husband just walks a little different. Hey, did you hurt your leg? Did you do this? Or did you do that? Pay attention. And so when I come to the things that we have here, the resources, the power, the resources, understand your attachment style. And I think this is important to understand even in relationships. Are you anxious, avoidant, secure? I am a very secure attachment style. So for me, I don't talk to people every day. I have my closest girlfriend. We've been friends now over 30 years. I might talk to her. I don't know, they talk 2-3 times a year, literally. We might text a couple times a year, maybe not more than a dozen. But it's like, hey, if we talk, we pick up from where we left off. But that's my attachment style. I can recognize when people have anxious attachment styles, avoidant attachment styles. Anxious people are often preoccupied with their relationships and tend to worry about their partner's ability to love them back. That could be in anything. Avoidant people equate intimacy with a loss of independence and constantly try to minimize closeness. Secure people feel comfortable with intimacy and are usually warm and loving. So again, understand that even for your marriage. I got that big binder up there. Next thing is resources, how to improve your marriage without talking about it. This book right here, we went through it. There's a quiz. There's some eye openers. There's things here for men. There's things here for women. There's things about chemistry, things about your core values, lots of questions. I believe in journaling. It's really, really good, y'all. You can improve your marriage without even talking about it. And I'm going to tell you, I read this in my second marriage, and I could have saved it. I didn't want to. Again, there has to be a belief and a want. I knew that, hey, this isn't working for me. But here in my marriage now, I'm like, yeah, there are some core things I know. And I'm going to share some of those things in Cancun. I can't share them publicly. But at the core, make sure that your values align, right? Your core values align. His needs, her needs, how to fair proof a marriage or building a marriage that lasts. Again, there's resources, y'all. There's no reason why we just really need to just run through life and struggle. Men are like waffles, women are like spaghetti. I talk to men in a specific way, all men, not just my husband, all men, because of this book. This book really, really changed my life. What he says, what he really means. Like, I love these books because they have little quizzes, little things. Even if you just get the things and just, you don't have to just sit down and read it all at once. Just read. Okay. 10 stupid things people do to mess up their marriages, their relationships. Be proactive if you're single. Okay. Stupid secrets, stupid egotism, stupid pettiness, stupid power, stupid priorities, stupid happiness, stupid excuses, stupid liaisons, not letting go of negative attachments to friends and relatives who are damaging your relationship. That's huge, especially if you are going into a blended family. You really, 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 really need to understand that. People like you till they don't. Okay, that's all of them. And then the proper care of feeding of a marriage. Again, these are things that are important. Proper care and feeding of a marriage. Why am I giving you all these resources? Well, it's important. I'll tell you at the end. But I really want you to win. Outside of, hey, come in here. I'm trying to make it as practical as possible. But I know lazy is not a nice term, and it's kind of can sound offensive. But sometimes we just have to take responsibilities for ourselves. I've taken responsibility, accountability, You have to ask yourself, and again, if you don't want to use lazy, are you in your lane? Are you walking in assignment? Are you walking in purpose as it relates to your marriage? Because I know I'm in purpose in business and this and that, but as it related to my marriage, I was like, oh yeah, I could probably go do this and do that. And I had to take a stance. I just said, you know what? I'm not going into a fourth marriage. Not because I can't. My aunt Martha has 7 husbands, honey. So over in my family, that's. But what was I taught? My grandma didn't have 7 husbands. She's twice widowed. So I want to stay in this one and make it work. Pay attention to the details. So with that said, before I leave you with the last thing, I don't have my full thing here, but the next thing that we go into is our hobbies and our habits. Our hobbies make us happy. You have to have hobbies as a woman. You must have, I got my hobbies written down. Write them down in your notes. And it's not something you do every day. A hobby isn't something you do every day. It might be like I do my cycle, Pilates bar. My exercising is part of my hobbies that make me happy. I started belly dancing and Tahitian dancing recently. I'm into my red light therapy. So I have it here. And my husband is out of town, so he's gonna put this, and I could probably do it myself, but I asked him to do it. So again, let that man do something for you, sis. Okay, let him do it. The next thing I have here is our self-care versus our self-maintenance. Oh, I got logged out my computer. It is so important to take care of yourself, whatever that looks like for me, my skin and my hair, my body. Pay attention to your body. I try to drink teas every single day. I drink my teas. Do the things that make you feel. Just sit down, drink your tea, take a nap, breathe, sit outside, enjoy your life. I'm getting my grandson this weekend. Just enjoy your day. Be at peace. I'm gonna let him run all through the backyard. We just gonna play, 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 play. Okay. You need sister friends to recharge. Okay. Unicorns and rainbows. You don't have to be super duper 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 deep. I'm not a super duper duper deep person anymore. I used to be trauma bonding with people. Oh my God, you don't have to trauma bond. I have friends now to be like, girl, I know you don't want to trauma bond. And I'm like, I don't. Get it there. I saw my therapist this week. I think I'm my life coach probably in the next week or two. And I'm going to my marriage counselor today. Like when I say I do these things, because some of you overshare stuff and you don't have a therapist and you can afford a therapist. You can afford one. And you really need to talk to somebody about why you feel like this. Some things just don't make sense. Some things, behavior. Sometimes you just need solutions and strategies to certain things. And I like the idea because that's what they do. They turn what hurts into something that heals. Because if you allow things to fester that have hurt you in your marriage, you ruminate and it will ruin your marriage because you can't get to that romantic, I hate to say high, but just you can have a peaceful life, a beautiful life, a life that you love. So let's put on our whole armor. Okay, Ephesians 6:11. And y'all know I say the joy of the Lord, sis, it is your strength. Nehemiah 8:10. I promise you, if you're in the valley, you coming up out the valley. If you out the valley, you've conquered that, you've tackled that challenge, you conquered it. And it's going to be another challenge, but sis, I hope it spreads out for a little while. So them 6 days are like, oh, okay, I made it through the 6 days, men, oh, pause. And no weapon formed against you shall prosper. I'm going to go in here to our notes, but I will do this. We are going to be on a pause for a while. I know. I've given you guys a lot of resources. I'm going to be in DC next week. I have to go to the White House literally because I'm doing some advocacy work for small businesses. Yay. My daughter's meeting me out there. And then the week after, I'm going to be in India for 2 weeks. So yay. I could not make promises to be here. So we are going to pause. I'm not going to make a promise for when I'm coming back. I will come back. I promise you all that. I can commit to that, but it'll be a little while. You can come back to these videos. I'm sure I'll make live videos, but I do want to say this. Our private lives are on public display. What you see here from me is because I am doing the work. I am telling you, I have hard times. I am being transparent with you and saying sometimes marriage is really, really difficult. I'm also coming to you and saying, I am so grateful. Sometimes I walk in my house and I look at it. I am so grateful for a husband that loves me. I am so grateful for a husband that adores me. I am so grateful for a husband that cherishes me. I am so grateful for a husband that brought me into his life, moved me into a home that he built for retirement, takes care of everything and takes care of us. But I'm also grateful for the challenging times that have helped me blossom in my spiritual side, make sure I had to focus on my cultivating relationships. I had to focus on my self-care because some of the things I was just like, this isn't normal behavior. And it was because we were dealing with some outside things. I'm looking at some notes. There were some, I had to manage and temper my expectations because my husband's 10 years older. So I thought, oh my God, I'm in my second phase of life. This season we're going to be traveling to that. My husband likes to work. So again, that's why I'm coming to you and saying, I'm trying to be as transparent. I'm not in here, there's people online, God bless them, dribble, all the stuff that they say. But at the end of the day, sis, if you have a husband, you're probably very blessed to have a husband. Now, there's 3 things that Dr. Laura Schlesinger says you shouldn't put up with and tolerate: addiction, abuse, adultery. Now, again, from abuse, I'm not putting up with no physical abuse, period. But there are some things from a mental, emotional that I had to even say within my marriage, like, hey, wait a minute. That's not how we speak to each other. I've had to temper some things with myself and say, hey, you're not gonna talk. My husband is a very masculine frame man. When I do that, he's just the most masculine frame man I've ever been with. And so the energy at times when he'd say certain things, I'm thinking he's kind of raising his voice, but he's just a loud person. And I'd have to say, hey, don't talk to me like that. Your ass is just so sensitive. And I had to say, I am. But there's certain things we had to learn about each other. So I'm trying to tell y'all the real deal. Some of the things that your husband does, they're more normal than you think. But there's some things that he does, they're just not normal. Some things he said to you, that's just not right. And you have to develop boundaries. You need to choose your battles, but you need a therapist to help you understand there are boundaries, because we are the closest with our spouses and relationships, but we can hurt each other because y'all, we have slick tongues too. My husband, he said, you know what you said, you got a slick tongue. I'm like, no, I didn't, but I know, like I do, I have a slick tongue, and I've had to make sure and be very mindful. We are not enemies. We are a team. This is a partnership. I have to love him and be cheering for him and be an advocate for him. I can't advocate for people outside my marriage more than I advocate for my husband. I don't talk negative about my husband. I'm very clear and mindful of the things I say that are factual, based on feelings. So these are the things, again, I've tried to do with these calls. So I'm going to be away for a little bit. I want y'all to be like, oh my God, I'm in the valley because Montina's not here. You got books. You have resources. Be mindful of the people that you do listen to online. Because I see the videos just like you see the videos. And I had to turn off one where she was like, these older men just went hospice wives. Well, some of y'all sickly too. Some of y'all have had some surgeries too. Some of y'all got some health conditions too. I went to run a 5K and like a whole week, my body was hurting. We're getting older too. Look and pay attention to the women that are trying to talk to you. Some of them could never have a husband because they're so mean and contentious and unattractive. I had to talk to one of my girlfriends. Some of y'all have pretty privilege. Some people on the dating scene and some people giving advice have pretty privilege. Okay, some of them, they don't understand where other people are struggling. So I'm trying to make it as practical, be as kind. But you guys, private lives, it's on public display. Okay, so if you know you're having an off day, get in the word. There are songs, Undefeated, I love, by Marvin Sapp, Jehovah Jireh by Jacqueline Carr, something like. Get you some songs that build you up. Okay, all right, so let me look in here at the comments, your pod. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, Hope. Hey, Hope. Hey. Hey, Shawnee Mac. Hey, Cena. Good to see y'all. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all so much for showing up. We had, Ben Dover. What did he say? Finding someone for a man is hard enough. Oh, Ben, you there's somebody out there. Hey, Jasmine. Oh, my first book. Oh, my God. I don't know. Let me see what the first book was, Jasmine. Jasmine, you'll see me. Candace. Hey, Candace. Yeah, Laura Sessinger. Yeah, and I told y'all the men come here and they talk. Yep. All right. So you guys have a wonderful rest of the day. Y'all say I got my rollers in. Y'all got this. I promise I will be back, but I got to check out for a little bit so I can get the things done I need to get done business wise and India and all of that things. Hey, Melinda, good morning. So you guys have a great rest of the day. Do the work. Y'all got this. I promise you, no weapon formed against you shall prosper, because the joy of the Lord is your strength. Okay. You can go back and look at the books. I don't know which ones I held up. I hold up a lot of them. So I guess at the end, remember, and Tame That Tongue. We didn't do the Tame the Tongue today. I know I'm off our calendar, but it's going to be a minute before I see you. The Argumentative Tongue. Avoiding a fight is a mark of honor, and fools insist on quarreling. And it says here, I'm just going to read what it says at the end. I will resist becoming contentious by respecting everyone's right to have his own values and views. Okay, that's the day 6 with the tongue. Other one was 10 stupid things couples use to mess up their marriages. I'm just going to hold these up. Take them, take them, take them. Okay. Men are like waffles. Women are like spaghetti. This is a fun book. Okay. It'll teach you how to not be all over the place when you speak to men, period. His Needs, Her Needs, How to Fair Proof a Marriage. Y'all, I literally have 1,000 books in my library. They're not all about marriage. How to Improve Your Marriage Without Talking About It. This is a really, really good one. Okay. Attached. You really need to know your attachment style. This will save your marriage. This will save your life. Okay. This is a good book. This is a phenomenal book. And it talks to, oh, this is a good book. Okay. I could do a whole read study on this. Proper Care and Feeding of a Marriage. You see, I always have like little bookmarks and stuff. Okay. And she's much older now. Dr. Laura been around forever. She used to have a radio show I used to listen to. Okay. Oh, she had a whole little thing here. What are the benefits of marriage? And again, I want you guys to focus your mind on these types of things. What are the benefits of marriage? Because it's just a lot out here. These women out here, oh, it's hard out here for choose your heart. You be single if you want to. But the way this world is, people out here crazy. Okay. You all have an amazing rest of the day. Bye.